Baik, ini adalah perkembangan yang baru kami terima. Sekurang-kurangnya 13 penuntut Universiti Pendidikan Sultan Idris maut apabila bas yang mereka naiki terlibat dalam kemalangan di Lebuh Raya Timur Barat. Nahas sekitar 1:10 pagi Isnin itu berlaku berhampiran tasik banding gerik. Dan kalau kita meliti, menurut kenyataan awal dikeluarkan Angkatan Pertahanan Awam APM, kemalangan terbabit melibatkan bas dan sebuah kenderaan pelbagai guna MPV. Difahamkan bas berkenaan membawa 44 penumpang termasuk pemandu dan kelindan. 31 penumpang lain dibawa ke Hospital Gerik Perak. 7 daripada mereka dirawat di zon merah, 20 dirawat di zon kuning dan 4 di zon hijau. Bas ini dalam perjalanan dari Jertih Terengganu ke UPSI membawa pelajar yang pulang bercuti sempena Hari Raya Aidiladha. Perdana Menteri Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim menzahirkan rasa amat duka cita terhadap kemalangan bas yang mengorbankan 15 pelajar Universiti Pendidikan Sultan Idris UPSI di Jalan Raya Timur Barat berhampiran gerik awal pagi tadi. Dalam kenyataan rasmi di media sosial, beliau bersimpati kepada keluarga mangsa dan mendoakan agar mereka dikurniakan ketabahan serta kekuatan menghadapi dugaan ini. Anwar menyatakan bahawa beliau dan isteri, Datuk Seri Dr. Wan Azizah Wan Ismail amat sedih menerima penghabaran tragedi tersebut dan menyampaikan ucapan takziah kepada semua waris mangsa. Beliau turut mengarahkan Kementerian Pendidikan Tinggi KPT supaya segera menyelaras segala bentuk bantuan kepada keluarga yang terlibat termasuk keperluan asas serta sokongan yang diperlukan. Perdana Menteri turut mengingatkan orang ramai agar mengambil iktibar daripada tragedi ini dan menekankan bahawa nyawa manusia tidak boleh diganti serta wajar dijaga dengan penuh berhati-hati. Kemalangan yang berlaku sekitar jam 1 pagi itu melibatkan sebuah bas yang membawa pelajar UPSI. Kementerian Pendidikan Tinggi dalam kenyataan susulan mengesahkan bahawa mereka akan menyalurkan bantuan segera merangkumi sokongan kewangan, perkhidmatan, kaunseling serta urusan pengurusan jenazah kepada semua keluarga mangsa. Isu berhubung penggunaan tong gas petroleum cecair LPG bersubsidi adalah melibatkan peraturan-peraturan kawalan bekalan PPKB Pindaan 2021 dan bukannya Akta Kawalan Bekalan Pindaan 2022 Akta A1652 seperti yang difahami sesetengah pihak. Menteri Perdagangan Dalam Negeri dan Kos Sara Hidup Datuk Armizan Muhammad Ali berkata pada sidang media yang diadakan Khamis lepas berkenaan isu LPG, beliau merujuk kepada Akta PPKB Pindaan 2021 yang telah digubal kementerian itu pada 2021 dan berkuat kuasa mulai 15 Oktober 2021 serta diwartakan dalam Warta Kerajaan Persekutuan.
Sehubungan itu, beliau berharap tiada kekeliruan timbul dalam kalangan rakyat berhubung perundangan yang dimaksudkan dalam isu penggunaan tong LPG. Pada sidang media itu, Armizan memaklumkan peniaga mikro dan kecil dalam sektor makanan serta minuman dibenarkan terus menggunakan tong LPG bersubsidi tanpa perlu memiliki permit khas hingga pindaan baru PPKB 2021 dimuktamadkan Oktober ini. Dalam tempoh peralihan itu, katanya tiada tindakan undang-undang akan diambil terhadap golongan peniaga berkenaan. Justru Armizan merayu semua pihak termasuk para pemimpin tidak mengelirukan rakyat dengan rujukan kepada undang-undang yang beliau tidak sebutkan. Terdahulu terdapat pihak mendakwa semua kedai makan dikendaki menggunakan LPG untuk kegunaan komersial iaitu silinder gas berwarna ungu 14 kg berharga RM70 satu tong berbanding silinder gas berwarna hijau untuk kegunaan domestik RM26 satu tong.
Ketua Ekonomi Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad Dr. Muhammad Afzal Nizam Abdul Rashid menjangkakan ringgit mungkin diniagakan sekitar RM4.22 hingga RM4.23 pada minggu ini. Katanya beberapa data ekonomi Amerika Syarikat akan dikeluarkan pada minggu ini seperti indeks harga pengguna Amerika Syarikat CPI dan indeks harga pengeluar PPI untuk Mei yang akan menentukan pergerakan pasaran. Menurut beliau, walaupun data tersebut mungkin menunjukkan penurunan dalam kadar inflasi, Rizab Persekutuan Amerika dijangka akan lebih berwaspada kerana ia sedar potensi tekanan inflasi yang akan timbul daripada gelombang tarif. Tambahan pula, ujar beliau, respons dari tinjauan Indeks Institut Pengurusan Bekalan ISM Amerika menunjukkan bahawa perniagaan telah menjadi lebih pesimis berikutan kenaikan tarif yang telah menjejaskan rantaian bekalan dan mengakibatkan kos operasi yang lebih tinggi. Ringgit mengakhiri minggu lalu lebih tinggi berbanding dolar Amerika, ditutup pada paras 4.2270 daripada 4.2530 yang disaksikan pada minggu sebelumnya. Mata wang tempatan itu diniagakan kebanyakannya lebih mantap berbanding sekumpulan mata wang utama lain. Malah, ringgit diniagakan kebanyakannya lebih tinggi berbanding mata wang ASEAN lain. Kontrak niaga hadapan minyak sawit mentah MSM di Bursa Malaysia Derivatives diunjur diniagakan dengan kecenderungan menurun sedikit minggu ini dalam keadaan peningkatan output dan paras stok, kata peniaga. Peniaga minyak sawit David Ng berkata pasaran pada masa ini dalam tempoh pengeluaran lebih tinggi secara bermusim yang lazimnya bermula pada April dan berlarutan sehingga September atau Oktober, dan dalam tempoh ini output kebiasaannya meningkat sekaligus menyebabkan paras stok turut bertambah. Mereka menjangkakan komoditi ini diniagakan antara RM3,720 satu tan hingga RM3,950 satu tan. Sementara itu, peniaga kanan minyak sawit Interbank Group of Companies Jimtih mengunjurkan pasaran akan mengalami aktiviti pengambilan untung dengan harga dijangka diniagakan antara RM3,700 satu tan hingga RM3,800 satu tan. Katanya dari segi stok, pasaran akan memantau dengan teliti data Lembaga Minyak Sawit Malaysia yang dijadual dikeluarkan pada 10 Jun. Mengenai permintaan, Teh berkata pembelian fizikal dijangkakan dari China, India, Pakistan, Timur Tengah, negara-negara Kesatuan Eropah selain pembelian kecil dari Amerika Syarikat. Tambahnya dari segi output, keadaan cuaca yang baik menunjukkan bahawa pengeluaran MSM mungkin meningkat. Berasaskan Jumaat ke Jumaat, kontrak bulan semata Jun 2025 meningkat RM23 kepada RM3,911 satu tan, manakala kontrak Julai 2025 dan Ogos 2025 masing-masing naik RM39 kepada RM3,930 satu tan dan RM3,917 satu tan. Kontrak September 2025 menokok RM36 kepada RM3,906 satu tan, Oktober 2025 meningkat RM29 kepada RM3,899 satu tan dan November 2025 menambah RM25 kepada RM3,899 satu tan. Tak kala ekonomi global terus berubah secara mendadak, dilanda ketidaktentuan geopolitik dan tarif perdagangan yang bersifat balas dendam, Pertubuhan Kerjasama dan Pembangunan Ekonomi OECD menggesa Malaysia supaya membuka semula pintu pembaharuan struktur daripada pelaburan asing yang semakin selektif hinggalah kepada pembinaan pasaran buruh yang dinamik dan berkemahiran. Namun persoalan utama masih membelenggu kita. Kita ingin melihat adakah Malaysia berani keluar dari zon selesa untuk melakukan reformasi sebenar atau sekadar kekal statik dalam sistem yang semakin ketinggalan. Dan sudah bersedia dalam talian untuk mengulas lebih lanjut adalah Dr. Afzan Nizam Abdul Rashid, merupakan Ketua Ekonomi Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad. Saya nak ucapkan terima kasih Doktor kerana sudi meluangkan masa bersama kami. Melihat kepada apa yang telah dikatakan OECD ini bukan adalah daripada segi kalau kita lihat usaha untuk push, tapi ini adalah sebagai amaran di mana kita harus segera lakukan reformasi. Tapi kita melihat dulu antara perkara yang baru berlaku ini juga dengan keputusan Petronas yang turut melakukan reformasi untuk kurangkan tenaga kerja agar mereka dapat selaraskan lagi objektif syarikat dan hala tuju bergerak ke hadapan. Adakah ini syarat jelas bahawa Malaysia tidak boleh lagi bergantung kepada sektor tradisional yang besar seperti Petronas, minyak dan gas? Adakah kita perlu percepatkan reformasi struktur ekonomi negara, mengambilkan satu industri sektor besar kita pun mengalami kebimbangan dan ketidaktentuan ini? Mungkin boleh kongsikan pandangan doktor.
Betul, Nina. Kalau kita melihat apa yang diumumkan oleh pihak Petronas melalui rancangan mereka untuk mengurangkan workforce mereka, ini jelas menunjukkan bahawa industri minyak dan gas ini juga tidak terkecuali daripada kesan cabaran perubahan landscape dalam sektor minyak dan gas. Kerana kita sedia maklum bahawa kalau kita melihat harga minyak pun dah menurun agak mendadak juga, ya. Kalau pada tahun 2022 harga purata Brent adalah sekitar $99 Amerika Syarikat setiap tong, dan kini sedang berniaga dalam sekitar 64 ke $65 setong. Jadi harga pun sudah turun dan kos juga meningkat dari segi kesukaran untuk mengeksplor telaga-telaga minyak yang baru dan juga peralatan, kos logistik, dan ini memaksa syarikat seperti Petronas untuk melaksanakan transformasi reformasi mereka tersendiri bagi memastikan kelangsungan perniagaan mereka. Dan perkara ini juga tidak unik kepada Petronas, dan sebenarnya dia begitu berleluasa berlaku di kalangan peers mereka juga, ya. Berbalik pada kata itu reformasi ekonomi negara, kalau bercakap tentang perubahan landscape ni memang dia merentasi pelbagai industri, tidak kira sektor minyak dan gas. Kalau kita lihat sektor perbankan juga mengalami satu transformasi yang begitu jelas berlaku akibat daripada proses digitalisasi, dan juga bagaimana ia akan merubah corak penggunaan tenaga buruh pada masa akan datang. Dan ini memaksa dasar berkenaan dengan pendidikan, dasar berkenaan dengan industri juga perlu cakna tentang perubahan-perubahan ini supaya apabila berlaku perubahan ini dapat kita tangani dengan lebih baik, dan benda ni perlu diceritakan, perlu diberitahu, dan rakyat juga perlu bersedia untuk menerima perubahan ini, dan ini memerlukan maklumat dan juga naratif yang jelas supaya kita bersedia untuk menerima perubahan ini dengan baik.
Dan Doktor, saya nak reflect sedikit kepada pertumbuhan KDNK sekitar 4.4% dan inflasi kekal rendah sehingga kini setelah subsidi rasionalisasi subsidi diesel telah dilaksanakan. Namun adakah angka-angka makro ini mencerminkan kekuatan sebenar struktur ekonomi atau sekadar pantulan pemulihan permukaan on the surface sahaja?
Okey, kalau kita melihat sebenarnya ekonomi kita sedang dalam fasa yang perlahan lah. Kalau pada suku pertama 4.4%, kemudian pada suku sebelumnya 4.9%. Jadi fasa ini sedang berlangsung, dan kita pun sedia maklum tentang situasi berkenaan dengan tarif timbal balik yang sedang dibincangkan, juga memberi orang kata tu isyarat bahawa outlook ataupun unjuran ekonomi pada separuh tahun yang kedua dan seterusnya juga berada dalam keadaan yang agak mencabar. Jadi kita walau bagaimanapun kita berada dalam orang kata tu posisi yang kuatlah, in a position of strength untuk menghadapi situasi ini. Ekonomi negara masih lagi bertumbuh dalam keadaan yang positif. Kita masih berada dalam keadaan inflasi yang stabil. Jadi dasar-dasar seperti dasar monetary, dasar fiskal sepatutnya dapat digemblengkan secara efektif bagi orang kata tu menstabilkan kedudukan ekonomi pada masa akan datang. Cuma kita tidak pastilah orang kata tu apakah yang akan berlaku berkenaan dengan tarif ini, tapi saya rasa apa yang dikatakan sebagai senario building ataupun pembinaan senario itu perlu kerap dilaksanakan baik di peringkat kerajaan maupun di peringkat swasta, kerana kita perlu sentiasa berada dalam keadaan bersiap siaga terhadap sebarang bentuk kemungkinan yang bakal kita lalui pada tempoh yang akan datang ini.
Dengan OECD menggesa pembaharuan struktur, sejauh manakah GLC dan sektor awam bersedia membuat pasaran, membuka dan meluaskan pasaran kepada persaingan yang lebih adil dan saksama bersama dengan sektor swasta, Doktor?
Betul. Kalau kita lihat GLC ni, perkaitannya dengan seperti program vendor begitu sinonim. Dan dia sebenarnya memang banyak membantulah dalam meningkatkan kedudukan ekonomi negara dan terutama bagaimana ia membantu sektor perniagaan. Namun perkara ini perlu sentiasa dipantau, perlu sentiasa dilihat adakah vendor-vendor ini telah pun mencapai satu daya saing yang baik. Daya saing yang baik ini artinya mereka tidak terlalu bergantung kepada GLC ini dari segi mendapatkan kontrak-kontrak perniagaan. Adakah mereka telah bersedia untuk menembusi pasaran luar dan sebagainya. Jadi ini merupakan persoalan-persoalan yang perlu dijawab dan perlu dilihat apakah GLC ini telah pun menepati sasaran mereka. Adakah mereka ni kewujudan mereka hanya semata-mata untuk keuntungan sahaja. Itu pun perlu mencapai satu keseimbangan yang baiklah. Memang betul keuntungan penting untuk memastikan kelestarian GLC tersebut, namun objektif penubuhannya dan kesannya kepada ekonomi dan ekosistem ekonomi juga perlu dilihat, terutamanya pembangunan vendor ataupun sektor PMKS. Adakah sektor PMKS dengan kehadiran GLC telah berjaya orang kata tu meningkatkan daya saing mereka. Jadi persoalan adakah kita perlu membuka pasaran ni. kalau kita lihat apa yang sedang berlaku sekarang ni berkenaan dengan perang tarif ni dan sebagainya, itu sebenarnya isyarat bahawa terdapatnya keperluan untuk membuka pasaran supaya berlakunya pasaran yang lebih adil dan saksama. Kerana kita juga di Malaysia juga kita pun mahu menembusi pasaran yang di luar sana. Sudah pasti kita mahukan sebarang bentuk restriction ataupun halangan itu dibuka. Jadi itu yang dikatakan sebagai satu hubungan yang lebih adil dan perlu kita fahamilah. Dan tapi pada masa sama kita bercakap tentang adakah kita punya industri ataupun vendor-vendor ataupun PMKS ni sudah berada dalam keadaan bersedia untuk menghadapi suatu keadaan ekonomi yang lebih liberal pada masa akan datang.
Ya, setuju dengan apa yang telah dikongtikan Doktor. Adakah kita bukan hanya melihat kepada kesediaan daripada peringkat JLC ataupun kerajaan di peringkat atasan, tapi kepada small medium players ini juga, adakah mereka bersedia untuk bersama-sama kita dengan mengharungi segala jua cabaran, dan sudah tentu kita ingin tembus ke pasar luar. Tapi bagaimana Malaysia boleh terus bersaing dengan negara jiran seperti Vietnam dan Indonesia yang kini menarik lebih banyak FDI untuk menstruktur semula pasaran buruh mereka, melihat kepada, kalau kita lihat banyak pasaran pergi ke Vietnam dengan banyak faktori yang telah dibuka, dan Indonesia mungkin neutral dengan perang dagang tarif ini, tapi sehingga 2024 sudah 150 kilang kita lihat sudah ada di sana. Pandangan Doktor?
Okey, bercakap tentang niche ataupun fokus yang patut kita berikan perhatian, sudah pasti kita perlu melihat apakah tawaran yang boleh kita berikan kepada pelabur-pelabur di luar sana. Dan saya kira Malaysia ini sebenarnya berada dalam keadaan yang baik kalau kita lihat dari segi penggunaan tenaga buruh kita ramai yang orang kata tu mempunyai kemarihan yang tinggi, berpelajaran, dan kalau kita bercakap tentang isu brain drain ya, itu menunjukkan bahawa tenaga buruh yang kita ada ni adalah tenaga buruh yang baik. Kalau tidak berlakulah brain drain tu. Jadi apa yang penting adalah untuk memastikan apakah industri-industri yang perlu kita bangunkan, adakah industri yang dibangunkan itu mempunyai kesan multiplier effect yang besar. Sebagai contoh, kalau kita lihat semiconductor memang akan mewujudkan peluang perniagaan, tapi adakah skalanya itu dapat mewujudkan satu limpahan yang besar kepada ekonomi negara dari segi pewujudan pekerjaan. Dan mungkin juga kita melihat sektor-sektor yang lain. Kalau tadi kita sebut tentang sektor minyak dan gas, kalau kita lihat dalam struktur minyak dan gas tersebut, 90% adalah didominasi oleh minyak dan gas, dan sekarang ini kita melihat suatu fasa menurun dari segi prestasi minyak dan gas. Adakah perlu mempelbagaikan produk dalam sektor minyak dan gas ini ataupun sektor mineral atau sektor mining? Dan kalau kita lihat, kalau kita menyebut tentang rare earth elements, RE merupakan satu potensi yang besar. Jadi peralihan kepada, mungkinlah kalau saya nampak peralihan daripada sektor minyak dan gas kepada RE ini, peralihan ini perlu diurus supaya ia akan dapat mewujudkan suatu kesan yang positif kepada ekonomi negara, baik dari segi pertumbuhan ekonomi maupun dari segi bagaimana ia akan mewujudkan peluang-peluang pekerjaan. Jadi setiap sektor itu perlu kita lihat impaknya itu dari segi pertumbuhan ekonomi dan bagaimana ia akan absorb ataupun menyerap lebihan tenaga buruh yang kita ada. Kerana kita sedia maklum tenaga buruh kita ni ramai sebenarnya yang berpelajaran tinggi dan sebagainya. Itu perlu diperhatikanlah dari segi pelaksanaan itu.
Baik, Doktor, berbakikan 1 minit. Tapi saya ingin dapatkan juga pandangan Doktor melihat kepada baru-baru ini dengan peletakan jawatan daripada Kementerian Sumber Asli dengan Kementerian Ekonomi, dan sehinggalah kini mungkin mencerminkan instabiliti dalam politik. Tetapi bergerak ke hadapan, kita harus tanya, adakah kerajaan hari ini mempunyai keazaman politik yang cukup kuat untuk laksanakan reformasi yang mungkin tidak popular tapi penting demi kelangsungan jangka panjang ekonomi negara? Maaf Doktor, berbagikan kurang daripada 1 minit, mungkin boleh ringkaskan.
Okey, saya kira faktor keazaman politik, kestabilan politik ni perlu dicerminkan dengan sejelas-jelasnya. Tanpa kestabilan politik, saya kira ia akan menggoyah orang kata tu keyakinan para pelabur. Dan saya kira dengan kebijaksanaan Perdana Menteri kita, seharusnya dapatlah situasi ini dapat ditangani dengan lebih baik. Setidak-tidaknya ada pengganti menteri-menteri yang telah pun meletakkan jawatan dan sebagainya lah. Saya harapkan perkara itu dapat dilaksanakan dan ditunjukkan dengan keazaman politik yang jelas.
Baik, dan kita berharap bergerak ke hadapan keberanian Malaysia dapat ditingkatkan untuk meninggalkan zon selesa dalam ketidaktentuan ekonomi global dan berusaha demi kesejahteraan negara bergerak ke hadapan. Sekali lagi saya nak ucapkan terima kasih kepada Dr. Muhammad Azaniza Abdul Rashid, merupakan Ketua Ekonomi Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad, dan setiap perbincangan ini akan kami rangkumkan dalam astroawani.com dan di semua platform digital Astro Awani. Banyak lagi laporan yang akan kami bawakan di Niaga Awani selepas ini.
Bila kerja sendiri, semua kena buat sendiri. Tapi, bersama rakan niaga, semuanya dapat ditempuhi bersama.
Lelaki kat luar sana lain. Lelaki awak ni sweet as I am.
Abang nak biarkan Nuha kena pukul dengan tajul lagi.
Mama janji sayang, takkan ada siapa-siapa pun yang akan sakitkan awak.
Aku tak ada anak!
Saya tak nak terima awak. Rumah ni dah macam neraka untuk kita lah, Tajul. Saya menyesal kahwin dengan awak. Saya nak awak keluar daripada sini. Keluarlah!
Dia bukan syurga. Di Astro Ria dan Astro Go.
Memang best gila, sumpah tak tipu.
10 to 10 lah.
Honestly, it was so fun.
Nak ikut boleh?
Isi dalam ni rapat dengan rakyat-rakyat Malaysia, lawak-lawak pun nostalgia.
Saya rasa macam sangat-sangat terimbau masa zaman-zaman kecil.
I've been laughing all the way.
Lawak-lawak yang memang tidak terahan. Korang macam, wait,
korang kena rasa bangga sebab ini adalah produk Malaysia.
Dia melebihi expectation saya, kena enjoy.
Ada faham?
Uniform Tentera Darat Malaysia TADM bagi peserta program latihan khidmat negara tidak seharusnya menjadi isu hangat.
Jenayah penipuan pelaburan mencatatkan jumlah kerugian tertinggi pada tahun ini setakat 2 Februari lalu.
Kementerian Pendidikan memandang serius isu peningkatan trend penggunaan rokok elektronik.
Lembaga Lebuh Raya Malaysia LLM memperluaskan larangan kenderaan berat memasuki lebuh raya pada waktu puncak di beberapa jajaran terpilih di sekitar Lembah Kelam.
Ekonomi Malaysia mencatat pertumbuhan 4.4% pada suku pertama 2025 disokong oleh penggunaan swasta dan aktiviti domestik yang kukuh. Ini memberikan asas yang stabil kepada pasaran saham tempatan meskipun dunia dilanda ketidaktentuan. Ketika S&P 500 terus terkesan oleh risiko global dan sektor teknologi yang tidak menentu, Bursa Malaysia muncul sebagai alternatif yang lebih stabil berpaksikan kekuatan ekonomi dalaman. Dan dalam suasana geopolitik yang dipengaruhi dasar Amerika First Presiden Trump dan ketegangan Amerika Syarikat China, pelabur mula melihat semula potensi pasaran seperti Malaysia. Dan untuk kupasan lanjut bagi memahami dinamik pasaran domestik dan peluang saham, kita bersama dengan Muhammad Siddiq Jantan, Ketua Penyelidikan Pelaburan UOB K Hian Wealth Advisors. Terima kasih Siddiq kerana sudi meluangkan masa bersama kami untuk kita memahami Bursa Malaysia yang semakin menyelah ketika dunia tidak menentu ini. Mengapa pelaburan dalam saham Malaysia dilihat lebih menarik berbanding pasaran global seperti US?
Okey, baik Nina. Kalau kita tengok pasaran saham global terutama Amerika Syarikat kini berdepan dengan tekanan daripada ketidaktentuan dasar perdagangan dan juga teknologi. So contohnya kalau kita tengok pengenaan tarif yang sebelum ni dia katakan 145% terhadap barangan daripada China dan juga sekatan terhadap teknologi telah meningkatkan risiko dalam pelaburan di Amerika Syarikat. Walaupun kalau kita tengok di S&P 500 dia mencatatkan sedikit pulangan positif untuk tahun ini, iaitu kalau kita berdasarkan hari Jumaat yang lepas iaitu sebanyak 1.06%, ia turut mencatatkan turun naik yang ketara iaitu volatility ataupun risiko yang tinggi. So kes seperti kejatuhan nilai pasaran seperti stok Nvidia sebanyak 600 bilion dalam masa sehari menggambarkan betapa tidak stabil sentimen pelaburan di Amerika Syarikat. So kalau kita compare keadaan ni dengan keadaan di Malaysia, so walaupun FBM KSCI pada hari Jumaat untuk tahun ini menurun sebanyak 7.6%, ia lebih disokong oleh faktor domestik seperti inflasi yang rendah dan juga kadar faedah dasar yang kekal pada 3%. So sektor seperti pembinaan, perbankan dan juga penggunaan tempatan terus mencatatkan permintaan yang stabil, dan ini menjadikan saham Malaysia kalau kita tengok ianya lebih menarik dalam jangka masa sederhana, terutamanya bagi pelabur yang mengutamakan kestabilan dan juga potensi pertumbuhan dalam negara.
Dan apakah kriteria penting dalam memilih saham Malaysia yang berpotensi pada 2025?
Okey, kalau kita tengok kriteria yang penting adalah seperti yang saya katakan, fokus kepada permintaan domestik. So pelabur perlu memilih saham dalam sektor yang dipacu oleh penggunaan tempatan seperti pembinaan, penggunaan utility dan juga perkhidmatan. So memang banyak kali kita cakap tentang Johor Singapore Economic Zone, ianya salah satu peluang untuk meningkatkan, tapi selain daripada JSEZ, NETR ataupun pelan peralihan tenaga lebih hijau juga memberi peluang kepada pelabur di Malaysia. So ianya fokus kepada permintaan domestik. Dan yang kedua, kalau kita tengok asas keuangan yang kukuh, so saham yang mempunyai aliran tunai yang positif, nisbah hutang yang rendah dan dividen yang stabil lebih berdaya tahan. Ini termasuk kalau kita tengok syarikat-syarikat di syarikat perbankan ataupun syarikat construction yang mempunyai aliran tunai operasi yang positif secara konsisten. So dalam pada masa yang sama, syarikat-syarikat ini kalau kita tengok nisbah hutang kepada ekuiti adalah lebih rendah dan peluangan atas ekuiti adalah yang dalam keadaan yang sihat. So syarikat utility ataupun syarikat bank tempatan, ini adalah kalau kita boleh katakan kedua-dua sektor yang mempunyai rekod pembayaran dividen yang konsisten. So dalam keadaan market yang tidak menentu, sekiranya syarikat masih mengeluarkan ataupun memberi pulangan dividen yang konsisten, ianya patut diberi tumpuan yang lebih lanjut. So yang ketiga kalau kita tengok adalah pendedahan kepada sektor masa depan. Sektor teknologi semikonduktor, dia boleh mendapat manfaat daripada pelaburan asing dan pengukuhan rantaian bekalan di rantau ini. So kalau kita tengok pelabur, dia boleh mempertimbangkan saham teknologi tempatan seperti di Penang yang sedang berkembang sebagai sebahagian daripada strategi pertumbuhan. Dan akhir sekali kalau kita tengok risiko global yang minimum, saham di Malaysia dia tidak bergantung kepada saham-saham yang saya katakan tadi, teknologi dan juga saham bank tempatan dan juga utility. Dia tidak bergantung kepada ekspor ataupun pasaran luar negara. Ia lebih terlindung daripada gangguan seperti tarif dan juga isu logistik. So itu adalah beberapa kriteria yang kita boleh gunakan, yang pelabur boleh gunakan untuk memilih saham di pasaran bursa.
Dan penting untuk kita meneliti apakah antara perkara-perkara yang boleh menghabat keadaan ini, apa antara risiko utama melabur dalam saham Malaysia pada tahun 2025 ini, Sidik?
Okey, kalau kita nak tengok, walaupun bursa Malaysia, saham-saham di bursa Malaysia, saham yang berfokuskan kepada domestik tidak bergantung kepada ekspor, tetapi likuiditi di pasaran Malaysia agak terhad, iaitu kita banyak bergantung kepada pelabur luar ataupun outside money untuk memberi likuiditi kepada pasaran Malaysia. So ketegangan perdagangan global merupakan salah satu, walaupun polisi kerajaan Amerika Syarikat tidak terjurus kepada Malaysia, tetapi ianya masih memberi kesan sekiranya ianya fokus kepada negara-negara Asia. So polisi perlindungan seperti di Amerika Syarikat terhadap China boleh memberi kesan kepada sentimen dan aliran dana asing, sebab kita tengok China merupakan rakan dagang utama di Malaysia. So ianya membantu memberi kejatuhan dalam bursa Malaysia pada suku utama. Selain itu, kalau kita tengok pergerakan mata wang dan juga kos input. So kelemahan ringgit boleh meningkatkan kos input untuk syarikat pengeluar dan pembinaan. Seperti yang Dr. Nizam cakap, yang bahagian untuk Petronas mengurangkan 10 tenaga kerja, ianya adalah kesan daripada pergerakan mata wang dan juga kos input. So ianya memberi kesan kepada harga komoditi seperti minyak yang memberi kesan kepada margin keuntungan. So akhir sekali kalau kita tengok dasar monetary dan kestabilan politik, seperti Nina tanya tadi mengenai perubahan menteri ataupun pengeluar bagaimana kedua menteri di Jabatan Perdana Menteri, Menteri Ekonomi dan juga Sumber Asli, dan juga dasar monetary di Amerika Syarikat memberi kesan kepada berlakunya risiko kepada saham Malaysia. Tapi kalau kita tengok untuk dasar monetary, kebanyakan penganalisis kita melihat kemungkinan untuk Federal Reserve di US ada faedah pada pertengahan kedua tahun ini. So ini memberi sedikit kelegaan ataupun memberi sedikit kelebihan kepada ekonomi negara-negara membangun.
Jadi bagaimanakah ketegangan perdagangan global ni mempengaruhi pasaran saham Malaysia?
Okey, kalau kita tengok ketegangan perdagangan global yang meningkat terutama di Amerika Syarikat dan China, dan juga kalau kita tengok Amerika juga mempunyai pergolakan sedikit di EU, memberi kesan kepada yang besar kepada landscape pelaburan, termasuk landscape pelaburan di Malaysia. So polisi perdagangan yang bersifat perlindungan ni seperti tarif, dia memberi ketidakpastian dalam kalangan pelabur global. So biasanya kalau kita tengok pelabur global, apa-apa news mengenai ketidaktentuan dasar, mereka akan mengelak. So apa yang dah pasti, mereka akan terus fokus kepada bahagian tersebut. So seperti contoh, kalau keadaan sekarang ni, kebanyakan pelabur asing dia orang melihat pasaran Singapura sebagai pasaran yang selamat. Pasaran Malaysia agak berisiko, tetapi kalau kita tengok dalam konteks ekonomi domestik, kita masih mempunyai solid ekonomi fundamental, dan ini membantu kepada pertumbuhan ekonomi. Tetapi pelabur asing melihat dari perspektif yang lain. So kalau kita tengok laporan untuk kuartal 2 2025 menunjukkan pelabur asing mengurangkan perdagangan mereka dalam APM KCI. So dia ini juga menyebabkan berlakunya APM KCI itu menurun, dan mereka juga pada masa yang sama beralih kepada bond Amerika Syarikat dan juga emas sebagai tindak balas terhadap risiko geopolitik dan juga ketidaktentuan dasar Amerika Syarikat. Ini memberi tekanan kepada harga saham tempatan, walaupun harga saham tempatan kalau kita tengok stok-stok yang ada, dia tidak mempunyai risiko fundamental, tetapi disebabkan pengalihan ataupun pelabur asing keluar daripada pegangan itu dan pergi kepada yang lebih baik, yang lebih selamat seperti emas dan juga bond emas, ianya memberi kesan kepada harga. So buat masa ini kalau kita tengok, ia memberi kepada walaupun tekanan terhadap harga, ia memberi peluang ataupun memberi opportunity kepada pelabur-pelabur tempatan untuk membeli saham-saham blue chip pada harga yang rendah. So namun begitu, kalau kita tengok kesan risiko ketidaktentuan ni, dia tidak bersifat menyeluruh. Kalau kita tengok pasaran saham Malaysia menunjukkan daya tahan yang agak kukuh berbanding dengan negara serantau, disebabkan oleh kekuatan permintaan dan domestik yang menjadi tunjang utama pertumbuhan. So apa yang Nina katakan tadi, KDNK 44%, ini sebenarnya didorong oleh peningkatan penggunaan swasta, iaitu sebanyak 5%, dan juga pelaburan sektor awam. So inflasi rendah, kadar faedah stabil, ini memberi persekitaran pelaburan yang kondusif. Sebab kalau kadar faedah naik, ianya akan memberi kesan kepada margin keuntungan syarikat. Tapi buat masa ni kita tengok semua sudah hampir 2 tahun setengah, kadar faedah masih stabil pada 3%. So secara keseluruhan kita tengok ketegangan perdagangan global ni, dia memberi kesan campuran kepada pelaburan Malaysia, tapi ianya juga walaupun memberi tekanan jangka pendek melalui aliran dana keluar asing dan ketidaktentuan luaran, tapi pada masa yang sama dia meningkatkan tarikan saham-saham domestik yang stabil dan berpandukan permintaan dalam negara.
Baik, dalam peningkatan aktiviti domestik dalam persekitaran pelaburan ketika ini adalah antara pasaran saham ataupun sektor yang perlu kita perhatikan ketika ini, dan apa antara risiko utama yang bergerak ke hadapan dan apakah antara peluang yang boleh kita manfaatkan oleh setiap pelabur. Sekali lagi saya nak ucapkan terima kasih kepada Muhammad Sidik Jantan, Ketua Penyelidikan Pelaburan UOB Kehian Wealth Advisor, dan selepas ini kita akan teruskan dengan World Economic Forum Stories of the Week.
Just like in our home, if I don't like how my bathroom cabinets work, I can change them. And right now in software, in our computers, it's much harder to do that. We delegate to them, and this is quite disempowering. As a person, I don't know if I want to be replaced by a thing that's, being delegated tasks by someone else. The way we think about it is AI agents are this kind of higher level programming language. So can we enable everyone to be able to program and build software? Say, you've got your email, you probably get a lot of email every day. An example of an AI agent would be one that you could tell, here are my priorities, and it will show you in the software program what emails are highest priority for you and what emails can be archived. Part of why maybe we feel so overwhelmed day to day is because we're a little bit controlled by our digital systems right now, by our notifications, by all the information coming to us. And the fact is, every person has a slightly different workflow. So these one-size-fits-all tools, they're okay, but they force us to change ourselves to use them. And ideally, what we want is software that we can customize so that it fits us instead of changing us to fit them. And I think that's a much more empowering view of how software could support us in the future, how AI could support us in the future.
If I had to highlight something that really jumps out from this latest edition of the Chief Economist's Outlook, it's the uncertainty. And not just the fact of the uncertainty, but the extent of it. It's been building for a while, but I think some of the developments, particularly in April, some of the moves made by the new US administration, I think people were surprised by the pace and the scale of those moves, and it pushed pretty much every measure of uncertainty that we have off the charts. One of the reasons that the most recent bouts of uncertainty have hit home so strongly is that they go to the heart of some of the key pillars of the global order, both economic and political, since the end of the Second World War. I think it has raised uncertainty about the US role in the economy, and it's been a cornerstone of that order for many decades. There's definitely a process underway where I think most countries, most regions just now have to rethink their position in this changing order. With unanimity, every chief economist we surveyed said that the global economy was set to worsen in the year ahead. Given how low global growth has been in recent years, and we're at sort of decades, multi-decade lows in terms of projections, getting those, say, 5 to 10 percentage points would actually be a significant uplift. So I would see that as the chief economist being fairly positive that this is going to feed through to some good economic news. There's a shock underway, but coming fairly quickly after that, I think, is the recognition that a lot of things need to be thought through, that there are people, countries, regions that have disagreed with certain policies that have been in place for many years. It's not clear which bits of the policy framework will be kept, which will be moved, to what extent there'll be tension over emerging differences in different parts of the world. But I think in general, it's a healthy thing that we're starting to step back and ask some questions about how do we want things to be run.
The platform offers actionable insights into skills, salaries, demand, empowering students, parents, and educators, while providing live data for policymakers to inform strategic decisions.
Nak coklat? Hari ni tak boleh. Nanti saya kena dengan mak saya.
Pepsodent baharu disahkan halal. Mikrokalsium aktif dan Proflorida kompleks membantu memperbaiki lubang halus akibat makanan manis sebelum menjadi kaviti untuk pelindungan maksimum.
Pepsodent.
Memang best gila, sumpah tak tipu.
10 to 10 lah.
Honestly, it was so fun.
Nak ikut boleh.
Isi dalam ni rapat dengan rakyat-rakyat Malaysia, lawak-lawak pun nostalgia.
Saya rasa macam sangat-sangat terimbau masa zaman-zaman kecil.
I've been laughing all the way.
Lawak-lawak yang memang tidak terahan. Korang macam,
wait, korang kena rasa bangga sebab ini adalah produk Malaysia.
Dia melebihi expectation saya, kena enjoy.
Ada faham?
Hello and welcome to Niaga Spotlight with me, Nina Rozman. Niaga Spotlight goes through the week in economic analysis and future affairs. Well, this week on Future Affairs, we're taking a deep dive into rethinking waste management for sustainability in Malaysia. Now, a couple of facts and figures before we get started, of course. Plastic waste constitutes 13.2% of Malaysia's household waste, with single-use plastics being a significant contributor. Despite a recycling rate of close to 40% in 2023, nearly 1 ton of recyclable materials were discarded, costing the nation close to 300 million ringgit. The plastics industry, which is valued at close to 62 billion ringgit in 2023, faces a huge paradox. While it drives economic growth, it also exacerbates environmental degradation. So, Malaysia's landfills are also nearing capacity. Projections are indicating potential exhaustion as quick as 2050. The recycling infrastructure is indeed struggling to keep pace, processing only 24% of key plastic resins in 2019. So such inefficiencies are resulting in significant economic losses as well as environmental harm. Most businesses prioritize waste relocation over elimination, often exporting waste to countries with less stringent regulations. Such an approach externalizes environmental costs and also undermines sustainable practices. So overall, plenty to discuss, a lot to chew on. I have the absolute pleasure of welcoming to join me in the studios today live for this very critical discussion, Pang Swee Lei, who is co-founder and executive director, the Asher by Pamerai Sendirian Berhad, joined with Adjunct Professor Anthony Wong Kim Hui, an environmentalist and owner of the Frangipani, Langkawi. A very good morning, gentlemen. Thank you so much for making time for Niaga Spotlight.
How are you both? Good morning, Tamina. Very fine. Thank you for having us today.
Fantastic. So, Pang, perhaps I could get started with you leading us into the fact that Malaysia, of course, has long treated waste as a liability. So what would it take, in your opinion, to economically and politically actually flip that paradigm and treat it as an asset class instead, something which would then actually bring us closer towards reshaping and rethinking how we manage our waste?
Well, not just in Malaysia, but all around the world.
Sure.
And every single countries, they are racing each other in terms of urbanization, infrastructure development, modernization, etc. And with that, you can't run away that the fact that waste is going to be more and more and more, right? And then human population, the world population, is set to peak at 9 billion in decades to come, if not centuries. And with more people on Earth, that means there are more produced, more productions, more manufacturing, and of course, more consumptions, more post-consumption, etc. So that part of that liability that you looking at it, it is not a risk or a liability to the human race. I think the human race is the liability to the problem in this case, because I give you an example. The reason I say that, I give you an example in the case of the plastic straw in the nostril of the turtle. One of the most shared image when it comes to plastic issues, environment, protecting the life, the habitual life. That's the most commonly used photos.
Sure.
And in that photos, we as human race, pathetically, as usual, when there's an issue, the first thing that we react to is we point finger, right? It's always other people's fault. It's not our fault, all right? In this case, more pathetically, the one that we are pointing finger to is the plastic, right?
The plastic is the one that's not going anywhere, you know? Yeah.
We are pointing to that. But that plastic came from who? Where?
The consumption,
us, right? It's us as human race conveniently use a plastic straw and then just irresponsibly discarded it. Either, even if you, and I say irresponsibly discarding the plastic straw, it's not just you putting it into the bin and then that bin was collected by a garbage collector and then it goes to maybe just drop off at some dump sites, illegal dump sites, or maybe to the landfill, or maybe into the drain. Not, and even if it is going to the landfill, all right, it is a irresponsible discard. All right, it's responsible because in the context of waste management, Malaysia, all around the world, the definition of waste management, right? I want to pick your brain. What do you understand of waste management? The spectrum of waste management.
Well, waste management, the way in which consumers at the end responsibly conduct it is by separating your waste. But, and I think this is something which increasingly many of us are noticing even within our own lifestyles, that condominiums, your residential
office,
areas, yes, that when the garbage pickup comes, they take it out of the carefully separated bins and they actually put it into one garbage truck. So I think there's a fundamental disconnect, right, Pang? So let's talk about looking at how exactly we can actually get out of this bind and perhaps move more into boosting not only recycling rates, but doing this a little bit more responsibly, a little more logically, because clearly the system cannot continue.
Great, Tamina. You see, logically, in my words, I will use effectively and also in the most practical manner.
Right.
Because I'm an engineer by training. Because for me, being effective, being practical is important. Right? You can have all the rings, the bells and decors, the musics, the gimmicks, but you got to be effective and practical. Right? Now, according to WHO, right, the most preferred strategy when it comes to waste management is treatment at source. And when I say treatment here, it's we eliminate or reduce, or in my favorite phrase is making it disappear.
Right.
At source.
Okay, at source, most importantly.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
not transporting it here, there, etc.
So when I ask you, what is your idea of waste management? For me, the definition of waste management that is currently being practiced in Malaysia, all around the world, anywhere around the world, whether it's developing countries or developed countries, that's the waste management that they are doing is relocate, hide. Hide.
That's right.
So in this hiding, and the hiding place is either level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4 landfills, it could be, or the dump site, or illegal dumping ground, or the river, or the drain. So it's relocating, and hiding. And this system has worked for centuries, and it has been so irresponsibly effective. Because why? Because public has no issues. I give you, for instance, yourself. You wake up in the morning, you get ready, you come to work. You are not affected by the fact of how wastes are being managed. Exactly. Everywhere you get up from your house, you get to your car, you drive out, and then you go on the road, you arrive at office. You don't see rubbish piling up anywhere. Maybe you see some pieces by the roadside, some hooligan just chat after they have a cigarette, etc. Probably you have that, but overall you don't see garbage being piled up everywhere, right, around the country. And when people come to the country, foreigners come to the country, they say our country is clean. Because we have been very effective at relocating and hiding.
Exactly. So moving the discussion into a different sector, thanks very much, Pang, for those insights. Prof. Anthony, you've also led sustainability initiatives within the hospitality sector, one which is not traditionally a focus. So how can policymakers perhaps make more effectively integrated tourism-driven waste streams? Tell me a little bit about your experience over the past few decades.
As a naturalist and environmentalist, you cannot get rid of all waste. And I totally support Pang. You must do it on site. The tourism industry is one of the biggest industry in the world, and they are one of the most polluting because they use a lot of energy, they eat a lot, and there's a lot of packaging.
Single-use packaging, yes.
Single-use plastic. So policy has to be policy plus enforcement. It has to be, because our country, we have plenty of policy, but enforcement is very lacking. Yeah. So I believe I represent the hotel industry. I'm the secretary of Hotel Association, Owners Association. Yeah. Now, the policy is they don't teach in hospitality school. They don't teach you to separate the waste. No school teaches. Yeah. Part of the hospitality, you should learn how to separate. But I believe we have to go a bit more back. That from primary school, kindergarten, secondary to university must have section on waste separation. But you cannot get rid of all waste. At least the organic waste can be looked after, done on site. All schools has got garden. So if you do it on site, because 40 to 50% of waste dump is organic waste.
So making sure that your composting, your zero waste kitchens are actually
So you
integral,
just do it on
right?
site. Yeah, don't take it to dump site. Then sewage is a waste that people don't talk about. There are technology that is nature-based solution. Yeah, we call them constructed wetland. I have developed one of the most efficient system. I've been doing it 20 years at Frangipani, Langkawi. I've done it 30 years in Jungle Lodge in Gombak. So there are technology, and the government has acknowledged it. It was approved in 2017. I pushed it through, approved by Environment Ministry, and then Parliament Act encouraged this use from 2021-25 Act, use nature-based solution to treat human waste. If you have space.
If I may add, whatever Prof. Anthony has said on the constructed wetland, he may have left out. It was also mentioned in RMK 12.
Yes.
It was mentioned in RMK 12 that constructed wetland is one of the preferred solution, right, when it comes to treating wastewater as well. And what Prof. Anthony has said, your food waste can go to the garden, that park, and then you have your sewage water that goes to a constructed wetland. Then the non-organics, everything else, come to me.
That's right.
Exactly. So there's actually a very harmonious ecosystem that exists. It's just about, I think, expanding that reach. And how about, because you've been so long in the tourism industry, Prof. Anthony, I wanted to ask you about what is currently a bit of a missed opportunity, right? Waste as a tourism differentiator. If enough facilities, not just eco-resorts, but even the huge ones which are urban-based, take on the same mandate, that would actually be a huge selling point for Malaysia.
Yes. In fact, I think the ASEAN Summit has brought out, which is taking place this week
as
in
we speak.
Kuala Lumpur, and they have looked at sustainability as one of the key factors for ASEAN to move forward, because waste is a big issue. Okay, I will talk about. Most people go to beach resort, and most of popular beach resorts, sad to say, whether it's Phuket or Bali or Krabi or Boracay, it smells of shit because the wastewater treatment is not sufficient. So it discharge into it, and they are mostly class 2. That means you cannot actually swim. It stinks. So fortunately, our government understands, so they are possible doing the first thing in Pulau Pantai Tengah Langkawi. They are building a $40 million constructed wetland. to treat the waste from indoor water and grey water using the system I developed.
Right.
Yeah, and UNDP is also helping Redang because it's too far away from indoor water treatment. So they're using this system there, but acquiring land takes a bit of time. Yeah, so natural waste is easier to get rid of or can be solved, but it is the plastic waste and the other non-organic that's much more difficult.
Absolutely. And speaking about the non-organics, back to you, Pang. So of course, much of the policy focus is naturally on post-consumer waste, but at the same time, what economic blind spots are we then ignoring a little more upstream? Manufacturing and supply chains. And these economic blind spots then, of course, entrench inefficiency as well as profit from waste into the system.
Well, the issue that we are looking at is uncontrollable amount of waste produced, and this is
a daily barrage.
Right,
yeah.
Right? So it's a challenge for all, and the reason behind for that immense generation is because of human beings are consuming more, and there are more human beings alive, and businesses' goal is to produce more and sell more, produce more and sell more, and of course from the productions, then they are also, through their production they are looking at cost efficiency. How do they get the cheapest material, the fastest way to get it out, and then market it and then sell it at the highest profit possible from whatever product that they do. So in that context, the alignment of the business is all about cost efficiency. It's not about how is my business responsible for the entire cycle of this, right? So they do not source for the right material. They do not intend to make the product to last longer. Most of the products are designed intentionally to last a certain period of time so that you buy more. If I'm going to build you a very hardy and good quality product, you're going to use it for 15 years, and then that changeover of purchase is going to be after 15 years.
Yeah.
So then you have more products being produced, being consumed, and then spoiled, get a new one, and then the spoiled one is going to be discarded. So the approach for waste management, I always tell people, first is about reduction. Reduction in terms of our consumption as individual, right? And waste management is not, it is a service, public service by the government, but it's not the government's responsibility. It's every single one of us responsibly responsible for the waste that is being produced every day. Not just from your house, even when you are going to the shopping mall or to the cafe. I want to share with you a story about myself, Camila. I throw out zero rubbish from my house and from my consumption. I do not throw out any rubbish from my house and from wherever I go. So if I'm going to eat out, I'm served with a plastic straw, I have serviettes, and I have probably some other packaging.
Right.
I bring a rubbish bag with me, I just pack it, I bring it home. Once a week, once every 2 weeks, I bring it to my factory where we have our asher in operations. Poof, I make it disappear there into ash, right? So I do this, right? Even my mother, who is 84 years old this year,
that behavioral change actually
is doing
right?
that.
Yeah.
Is doing that, right? So once a week, she will tell me, I see her once a week, every week. Then she will tell me, okay, that's the bag of garbage that you can take with you. Right, for your demonstrations or for your R&D.
Right.
So I just bring it back and then use it in our machine and turn it into, using the ash and turn it into ash safely, environmentally friendly, and also effectively. So now imagine to me now, 33 million Malaysians can do the same. Can you imagine the power of that to our drains, to our river, to our forests, to our ocean, to our tourism spots.
Our personal health as well, as more people are becoming concerned about microplastics in water, etc.
Imagine that waste can be made disappear safely, effectively, environmentally friendly at source, or as closest as it possible it can be at source, right? And this is a Malaysian technology that we are talking about, 100% made, built, and invented by Malaysian, that can change the entire spectrum of the world. But to change the whole economics of waste management is very difficult.
Exactly.
Because people, many people have been enriched, made rich from it.
It's also a profit model, and I'd just like to pick up on something which Pang just mentioned, looking at the behavioral levers, but connecting it to the tourism industry, right? There is also an opportunity to turn, of course, tourists who are short-term visitors, but affecting them into agents of long-term change. Is there anything particular which is done, especially at Frangipani, for example, that encourages recycling mindset and consciousness around consumption?
Very simple way is you put out bins, plastic, paper, bottle, organic.
Making that distinction, the organic,
that's
yes.
right. So you leave this all over the property, and it normally are the Europeans, a more developed country, they will actually put the waste in a separate bin.
Right.
Yeah? And then, of course, we also have got activity on ecology, on organic farming. So the guests are aware that we are a sort of a green resort. Now, I've been teaching this in the hotel industry, and the container of separation, you don't need to buy. Everybody has swimming pool, those who hotel, and you can always container of chlorine. It's a 20-liter container. It's a large container.
Reuse it.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So you will label it paper, plastic, metal, organic, and it lasts you 20 years. The way we started.
Exactly. Again, going back to that profit model, there will be
Yes.
someone who creates those special bins, etc., using
Yes.
other resources.
Yes.
Exactly.
So what you call a circular economy. If you can look at a circular economy, as much as you can, you can't do everything, that will reduce a lot of waste. So you look at the end in mind first.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for the discussion so far and the insights. We take a short break now. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Niaga Spotlight.
Malaysia sebenarnya berada di kedudukan kedua terburuk di dunia berkaitan keseimbangan hidup dan kerja.
LRT3 sudah akan mula beroperasi suku ketiga 2025. Kerja-kerja fizikal dan penstrukturan sudah mencecah 95%.
KPM sebenarnya sedang memperincikan cadangan untuk menyediakan allowance kos sara hidup tingkatan 6.
Melibat urus antara umat Islam dan agama lain penting supaya dapat mengelakkan ataupun membawa kepada Islamofobia.
Siapa tu? Sepatulah. Siapa lagi?
Wah, cantiknya kau.
Anda minta?
Tahu tak nak cerita sebenar ni?
Kami bagi.
Cuci muka guna mentega. Astaga. Aku nak ajar Arjuna. Stop!
Sepatu Reunion Live 2025 secara langsung di Astro Prima dan Astro Go.
Kaulah tuanku.
Welcome back to Niaga Spotlight, still with me, Tamina Kausji, and today, of course, we are discussing rethinking waste management for sustainability. Right, so going straight back into the discussion, Prof. Anthony, now, of course, we were discussing a little bit about how current waste frameworks, they are just prioritizing infrastructure over any kind of behavioral economics. Are there any policy-related instruments, perhaps subsidies, etc., which could actually help to shift this more towards behavioral?
I think the government has got privatized like e-idaman. They have started to give incentive for people. If you put bottles one side, plastic one side, paper one side, they are doing it. Yeah, but that is not enough. Not enough push to change the behavior. Yeah, behavior is the most difficult. When I started the hotel 20 years ago, when I started waste separation and composting, you know, the staff say you should not eat from compost vegetable, composting, yeah, natural fertilizer, because it's dirty, because they see the worms and maggots coming out. Good compost comes from a plastic bag, no? What I call artificial chemicals. So they don't understand, you know. So knowledge and education is key to it. The most difficult is behavioral change.
I have to agree with Prof. Despite the age gap, my partner, Dato' Umar Razik, was also the executive chairman of the company.
Right.
For many years, he has been telling me, Pang, you want to change the behavior of the human being? Good luck.
Maybe it's about financial incentives, right? South Korea has a PAYT, pay as you throw system, and that happened to cut household waste by close to 30% under 2 years. And Malaysia, we're spending over 2 billion ringgit annually on waste infrastructure, but we're still falling short.
I think it's more than that, and that is for the concessions. It's not for infrastructure. It's more on paying the service to the concession to collect, relocate, and hide the waste. Right? So now the human actions are driven by two channels, right? If I can simplify it,
sure,
it's carrot and stick. It's either the carrot or the stick. Right? In the case of Malaysia, there's policy is there. But there's no carrot or stick that actually activate the policy.
Right.
Right. So even like a Malaysian, the My Hijau green certificates, right? So they push companies, businesses to adopt technologies or product or services that have My Hijau certificates. Then the clients that have this My Hijau certificate, we want to supply to some other businesses. And with the intention that businesses, when they subscribe to that services, they get some form of tax deduction, tax allowance, etc. But that is not forthcoming. It's difficult for businesses who actually wants to apply for tax allowance, tax incentive, or etc. when they actually do this. And of course, when they apply for, and then they engage a service provider that is My Hijau certified, they can't be cheap. Because for them to do anything better, more effective, more green, it got to be more expensive. It is impossible that it is cheaper. So when they do this, they spend more trying to be more responsible towards the environment. Then with the expectation the government is going to give me some form of subsidies or incentive or etc. But no, it's not coming. Right? So there are ways that it's being not.
Then there's that corporate exhaustion cycle, and you lose the opportunity to convert.
Yeah. Then the business eventually they just feel, this is too much work. Let's just do the most effective and efficient way, but probably not the right way.
Interesting insights indeed. Because actually, again, going back into the fact that there's few structural things which actually reward waste reduction by design. So that, of course, then just means that basically it's all right to produce as much waste as you are. It's part of this industry, whichever one that you're in, consumerism, consumers, or is it hospitality, but just recycle it. But that doesn't also happen. So, Pang, tell me about when it comes to your work with the ASHA, have you observed anything interesting about informal waste economies, scavenging or community-led recycling?
In my opinion, this it's very sad to look at the current waste practice business, operationally, formally or informally.
Right.
I have witnessed myself formal operations, a waste collecting company, I would not mention the name, waste collector hired, these are not locals, these are foreign workers, right? So they ride on the dump truck. I'm sure you have seen this. Instead of sitting in the vehicles, they are riding at the back of the dump trucks, hanging on it, and then on the road with the smell coming from the dump truck. And then when they arrive at the refuse area where they collect the garbage, and this is like a low-cost housing area. Right, so the bins are not properly maintained, the refuse room are not properly maintained, and the residents do not discard their waste properly.
Yes, in a proper
They just
fashion.
chuck. And in fact, some of them just throw it from the top floor and just drop it there. And then, and these collections happens maybe it depends, probably like twice a week. So the garbage that's accumulated there is probably 2 or 3 days. It has manifested. You have wastewater, you have smell, you have vermins, you have all sort of maggots or all sort of species of that. It's smelly. I observed this operation 15 meters away.
Yes.
I can't stand the stench. These fellas are supposed to collect the garbage and put onto the dump truck. And it's a compactor. It's a compactor, so there's a hydraulic collection machine. But the machine cannot work because the garbage is not in the bins. Garbage is all over the floor, wet, dirty,
So it has
smelly.
to be, of course, physically then transferred into the bin by the migrant workers.
I want you to guess what kind of technology that they use to transfer the garbage from the pile of garbage on the floor, smelly with all this wastewater, into the dump truck. I want you to give it a guess. What kind of technology that they use to do that?
I'm going to say it's buckets and manual.
That's very advanced. I mean, that is very advanced. You know what they did? They lay a sarong.
Right.
They lay a sarong on the floor and then push the garbage onto the sarong, and they clip all four corners of the sarong and flip it into the dump trucks.
Right.
So. And this
yes,
kind of
just
work.
Imagining, the disease vectors, etc. Not only for themselves, but the surrounding area too.
And going back to the scavengers, how many scavengers have actually died at dump sites or landfill because of arsons or because of some risk of infectious and and also some collapse of the, and on top of bury them at the landfill itself, and then only people find out about months later that this guy actually is buried there. And what kind of value actually can they extract from that scavenging? Couple of cans, couple of plastics, which last them what? So there's no dignity, there's no value in doing that job. See, the best way, like I said, the best way if you wanna have a really effective socio-economic impact when it comes to waste management is taking the approach of treatment at source. Because when we treat waste at source, the whole operations become so simple, become so
streamlined,
so easy and so clean. So if anyone that is going to be working there, right, trying to manage the machine, to treat waste at source coming from 400 units of homes, apartments, or 300 units of double-story homes in a site, that person is going to be working in a clean and safe environment, all right, with dignity. And if I'm the son of the person that's working that machine, I can easily tell my friends, my father is a hero that had helped waste go disappear at source for that taman, for that condominium.
That's right, exactly. I think there's this, I mean, there's a lot to unpack in what you shared, but I also do remember distinctly, some time ago I happened to be on a study tour in Estonia, in the capital Tallinn, observing, just walking around how waste management was exactly what you said, primarily treating at source, but also it was actually qualified hygiene and biology engineers in charge of the waste management. Absolutely no surface level or air contamination. Everything is a closed system. Fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. Prof. Anthony, I'd like to expand that lens and ask you about how can we actually then integrate local communities and to being economic stakeholders in the waste value chain. Any ideas around that? What models could Malaysia perhaps adopt to empower community-based waste economies?
It takes leadership in that community to do things. Yeah, you need a little committee, and that once you have that leadership to move, you can do things. Yeah, this is the thing, is a lot of Malaysian they are not willing to go the extra mile normally. Yeah. So you need to gather people around, and the government has to give incentive, and they have to use enforcement, use a stick. You got to have this both. Yeah.
A good balance of both,
Yes,
basically.
that's right. Like now, in regards to inorganic waste, I've been doing this many years. I want to develop a community of artists. We call waste to art.
Okay.
So every year I allocate 12,000 ringgit, but I used to do it for adult, but now I only do it for school. So waste could be turned to art, and then hopefully a small group of young entrepreneurs can develop it, and the hotels can sell it in their showcase, and they can give awards, school can give awards from recycled art. So you can be more creative to get rid of waste, and people pay to take it away. So, but you need to create that community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perhaps even, localizing waste credits.
Yes.
There are various models around the world that have worked in pockets, right?
Yeah. You need to have a combination of everything. Yeah. So then you have to engage the local authority, and this is where the challenge comes in. You have a lot of volunteers who are willing to do this, but to get the local authority involved, like there's one community NGO called Trash Hero.
Yes,
it started
right.
from Phuket, and it moved to Langkawi, and now there are about 17 or
Also in
22
Bali.
groups all over Bali also. That they are on weekend, half a day. They collect waste, but the local kampong people, ini orang bodoh. These are stupid people collecting rubbish. So this is
the
something,
mentality change.
The
is
mentality
also important.
change.
Yeah.
So I believe it is a combination of local government, NGO partnership has to take place in that local community, or it cannot work. Or else the government will even say, why are you doing this? Who allow you to do collection? Have you got a license to do collection? Sometimes they'll come back to you, and to collect waste, you actually need a license.
Yeah, perhaps it needs to be one certain adun or in Malaysia that can maybe license a community waste recycling or reduction initiative.
Yes.
And
we have to protect the concessions.
Exactly.
It's
So when you
business.
can't negotiate on that,
It's a business.
you're unable to actually reduce waste. From there, Pang, I want to go into looking at waste colonialism as we, grow out the conversation, where, of course, we've had a couple of incidents that were highlighted in the media. Richer nations are offloading their recyclables into countries like Malaysia. So from an economic sovereignty standpoint, let's look at how Malaysia could be combating this. Would it be via perhaps pricing mechanisms, or how do we also decline this completely with no room open for it coming in sometime in the future or at a reduced amount?
I would not decline it. ASEAN Chairmanship.
Okay, all right. Let's
ASEAN
zone in
Chairmanship.
on that.
Imagine you are PMX. I am the premier of Vietnam. All right? You say to me, hey, you have waste problem in Vietnam? Malaysia can help you. Send it to Malaysia. Canada, you got plastic problem? No problem. Malaysia can help you. Imagine PMX in front of United Nations telling the entire premiers, the whole world, the premiers of the world, you have waste problem, come to Malaysia. We can help you solve it. Because in Malaysia, we have a technology that can make waste go disappear safely, effectively, environmentally friendly. So, and coming back to the earlier question that you have said about waste, the early discussion about waste management, and you call it waste colonialism. It's again the same thing. It's relocate, and hide. In this
correct.
case,
until you run out of places to hide. Yes.
So now you try to hide it in. No, they hidden it in Malaysia, but it got out of hand and booms. It become another big story for around the world, and then China came into play, and then they still banning all that. But it is a I think not less than 40 billion USD business. Right? So from an economic standpoint, if we homegrown technology in Malaysia can take a chunk of this, that means revenue for the country, for the nation.
That's
It
right.
means job creation for the country. We can solve the world's problem. And we are the only business. I say this in terms of business. We are the only business.
Business model-wise,
Business. We are the only business. My company, we are the only business. I can say this. We are the only business where when we produce more, when we sell more, when we deploy more, the better the world is. No other business can say that.
The only way I can see that working is if it's for sure that every bit of waste which lands on Malaysia from overseas actually ends up
Goes to the mission.
disappeared.
Yeah.
Great
Goes to the mission
point,
and
great point.
disappear.
I can't argue with that. Prof. Anthony, let's talk about corporate greenwashing for a tick.
Yes.
Now, this, of course, presents a huge challenge to regulatory credibility.
Yes.
What more needs to be done from your perspective to bring it up to scale with on-ground realities today?
Well, the only way you can do it is certification. Yeah, people can say they are green, but how do you quantify it? Yeah,
define
but there are also many certification companies. Yeah, many. There are 200 green certification companies globally. But what we need to do is education. Why? You have to educate them. You can have ways to reduce your waste. Yeah, how to save energy, how to save water, how to save your organic waste, how to recycle stuff. So I think showing people the how is better than just certification. All these certification don't tell you how. Don't give you the solution.
Just checking the box, meeting the criteria.
Just ticking the box.
Yep.
So we at Hotel Owner Association, I developed this system. We have close to 250 ways to save. So all these certification companies say, I can show you how to save. How do you get certified? You cannot tell me, if you tell me, energy, water waste guideline, I can go to ChatGPT or DeepSeek. They can give me all the guidelines.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So I believe we go for certification, but you must give them solution. And then the first step is give them all the 300 ways or so, then up to them to decide. Self-certification. That means they can show you your water bill, your rubbish bill, your energy bill. Say now, 6 months time, you show me your bill again. Yeah, show me your weight. So I
Comparison
believe
side by
you
side.
can compare it 6 months back, then you can show 1 year. So this could be a way of getting people to move it, and then they get incentive. Yeah? So I believe learning is like learning how to do it, because they want to go green, but they don't know how, and they think it's expensive.
Exactly. So, Prof. Anthony, as well as Pang, thank you so much for the insightful discussion today. I think it's quite clear that treating waste at the source is not merely an environmental necessity, but that's actually the way we make a dent in the waste scenario that we have. Well, that's all we have time today for On Niaga Spotlight with me, Tamina Kausji. We look forward to sharing more economic analysis and insights next week. Here's to a productive week ahead.